are listening to Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio.
All new shows to listen to on Spectrum on Air. Reggae. Ooh, yeah. Rock and roll jukebox.
Well, it's one for the money, two for the show, three to get ready. Now go, cat, go, but don't you step on my blue shoe.
And country girl. All new shows on Spectrum on Air. Visit our website on spectrumonair.com or listen on Mixcloud Live.
Don't forget, you can listen to this radio station on the Get Me Radio platform. Download the Get Me Radio app and listen on your Android or Apple mobile phone, and a whole range of TV apps such as Roku, Fire, Android and Apple TV. You can also listen on Alexa and Google Home devices. Just search for Get Me Radio. Download the apps and listen to this radio station on your favourite devices.
If you love electronic music, then you need to tune in on Saturday evenings at 8 p.m. with me, Suzanne Letting, on Let's Get It On. Each week, I am going to be bringing you brand new releases. So if that kind of music is your cup of tea, then why don't you join me Saturdays at 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. Repeated on Mondays at midnight and 1 a.m. and again on Thursdays 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. So grab that cup of tea, that cup of coffee, or even a glass of wine, and let's get lost in some music together on Let's Get It On the radio station that brings colour to the airwaves, Spectrum on Air.
New smart apps with our advanced ways for viewing. XP TV One. You can now view us on Samsung Galaxy Store, Apple App Store, Google Play, Roku, Samsung Smart TV's App Store, and Apple TV, Huawei, Amazon Fire Stick, and App Store. XP TV One. Tomorrow's TV broadcasting today.
You are listening to Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio.
I'm Barry. I'm Bob Luffield. I'm Alan Mallion. Together we are the Grumpy Old Men.
Every Saturday morning between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Only on Spectrum on Air. Often controversial, sometimes fun, but never dull. The Grumpy Old Men bring you their slant on world events and current affairs. 8 to 10 Saturday mornings.
And a warning, this show contains a free speech from the presenters, which may upset or offend. Good morning, lady and gentlemen. Welcome to the Grumpies on Spec on a Saturday morning. I'm joined, of course, by my usual crew, and we welcome again the monthly slot from Portugal, Chris. Hi, Chris.
Good morning, everybody.
How are we today? All right?
We're very, very good at the moment. Thank you very much.
Good to see you, Chris. Good. And good morning, Bob.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
And good morning, Alan.
Good morning.
There we are. So that's the four of us this morning here on Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio, going out on all sorts of different things, including YouTube. So if you're listening this morning and you want to see us all, then go on to YouTube, all right? And you'll, well, you'll frighten you to death, but there you go. Right, I tell you what, there is only one talking point this morning, I suppose, really, to start the show at any rate, and that is, of course, the very warm welcome that Zelensky got from Trump yesterday. Eh?
Yeah, well, Trump is certainly no diplomat, is he?
No, not at all. It was some of the worst of Trump yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely disgraceful.
I felt very sorry for Zelensky, actually. What about, you may not have seen it, Chris, but there was a bloke, one of his, the Trumpians, who was standing behind Vance, laid into Zelensky right from the beginning about what he was wearing, the fact he hadn't turned up in a suit, which was disrespectful.
Well, not being funny, I've never seen him wear a suit.
No,
So-
no, why? He said, well, I will wear a suit.
And
when the war
ever
is
since
over."
Russia invaded, he's been wearing army clothes. So that's what he does, and I don't see that as being a problem.
No, do I. It was very, very rude to him, and I thought that got off to a good footing, you know. But as Mike said earlier, I think off air that it was set up.
It was.
Yes, it was, without a doubt.
There were no two.
I didn't notice Vance hanging around when Starmer was there or Macron was there.
No,
they went in there to have a. They went in there to have a go at him, and absolutely.
Vance was there.
He was there because he said about.
Was he? Oh no, never. Okay,
yeah, I just remember it from a wide shot. He was sitting in the same place.
Yeah, but he did vaguely say about the free speech issues in the UK, and then Starmer said, "Oh yes, we've got free speech in the UK, and it's we're wonderful at it, and all this, And he didn't back off. He reckoned that our free speech is not an issue in this country, which. Vance didn't continue with, which is a shame.
I think that the whole thing was preset by Trump, who said to Vance, right, get in there, son, give him a hard time.
Yeah, but wasn't it the same with Starmer, with the fact that was set up with the letter from the king? He gets out of his pocket and all that business.
Well, that I'm afraid I cringed there. I thought.
So did I.
I thought this is not the way you do it. I mean,
I suppose disagree.
Why?
I just thought it was really cool.
I thought,
what he did is the opposite to what the Ukrainian guy did. What he did is he actually managed Trump.
Do you think so?
Starmer managed Trump. He massaged his ego.
It was very well planned. I agree with Alan, actually.
He was a smart cookie. He was a smart cookie. Whereas I'm afraid our Ukrainian friend wasn't a smart cookie and fell for it.
Well, you couldn't really get a word. He couldn't really get a word in edgeways, could he?
Well, he could have just said nothing. He could have just not responded and then taken a very measured response.
Well, I'm surprised he didn't actually get up and walk out.
Well, I'm surprised at that as well. But that might have even been better.
Yeah, but I don't think Starmer came back with anything. I mean, they're saying he did well and all the rest of it. I don't think he did.
I don't think so either.
What did he come back with? He hasn't got any agreement. He hasn't got the agreement signed. All Trump has said is, "Oh, I think about it," hasn't he? On every issue.
Yeah, but
I can't see Trump going along with the Chaco side. It'd be complete madness.
Well, he seems to be.
Well, does he?
Well, he's
saying that to keep Starmer happy.
He said it's a good deal, and 140 years.
Yeah, but he'll forget he said that by tomorrow, won't he?
Yeah, well, he'll forget everything he said by tomorrow.
It's like he said about calling Zelensky a terrorist, didn't he? He said, did I say that? I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Dictator.
Yeah, a dictator. That's it, Chris. Thank you.
No,
that was equally disgraceful as well.
Indeed.
I thought Zelensky could have played it cooler.
I'm afraid.
In what way? How could he have played it?
Gentlemen, let's stick with the Starmer one and then go back onto Zelensky, because I found it quite cringing, really, to see.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that the king sent the president the letter via the prime minister.
Yeah, pretty cool.
He should have sent it through his ambassador. The American.
Yeah, but look who his ambassador is.
What?
Yeah, that might not have been a good idea.
Yeah,
well, I know that
the Prince of Darkness, isn't it?
No, doing it live on television with Starmer. Remember, this is for the American audience more than anything.
Yeah, but why?
It's for a world audience.
I thought that Starmer. Twice he said, at least twice, if not three times. This is unprecedented.
Yeah. He made a big deal out of it, and that would have impressed the American audience.
Well, Trump's going to play on this. I'm the first president ever to get 2 state visits.
Yeah, it's going to make it very hard to impose, swinging tariffs like he's going to impose on the EU, which he's going to do. I could see the EU getting 20% tariffs.
I can as well.
Yeah, but equally, it works both ways, doesn't it? Although, what do the Yanks export to Europe? Not a lot, do they?
No, but it's going to have an effect on the on the cost of importing, for instance, German cars.
Yeah, well, he threatened Volkswagen over the emissions. They wouldn't play ball, and until they played ball, he said, right, then you don't export any more cars to America. And they played ball. They paid for replacement cars for everybody.
Yeah.
Which almost bankrupted them.
But, well, that's the power of America's, massive economy. And, if it reduces the amount of exports to America by 20 or 30%, which it could easily do, that's going to cause Germany serious grief.
The thing is about Volkswagen anyway, they import their cars into America from Brazil. That's where they make it.
Yeah. Oh, but I think mine's made in China, actually.
Mind you, if you have a look around here, there's so many Teslas in there. We obviously buy loads of Teslas from America.
Well, they reckon the trade balance is about balance. They reckon it's about even.
I think it's not between Europe and America. It is between the UK and America.
Yeah, between the UK and America. So, he's been nice to the King. He's been nice to our Prime Minister. He's been nice and complimentary about the British people and the British culture. He's saying that we're in balance. It's going to be very hard for him to whack up any tariffs on us of any consequence.
Yeah,
rubbish. You live in a dreamland, mate, Because all he's got to do is he's going to turn around and say, right, okay, I'm not going to have a tax on chickens that we export to you when they're banned at any rate,
Yeah, well, I think that there's going to be lots of nuances in any negotiation, and that will be part of it. But the overall scheme of things, I think Starmer did well. It was the first time I've actually seen him on the telly and thought, oh, good man.
I thought he looked like a little lost boy, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
I think he looked out of his depth. I mean, you look at the body language, he crossed his leg the wrong way, so he was defending himself against Trump.
Yeah.
All the size of the body language, and he kept fidgeting in his chair, fidgeting with his jacket.
If Starmer had produced a genie out of a bottle at that thing, you'd be giving him a hard time because you're just so anti-Starmer.
Well, I am, but it's not the point. I mean, I'm only commentating. I'm only commentating what I believe and what I saw.
You're turning into Donald Trumps. I've got two Donald Trumps on the show with me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm normally anti-Starmer, but I'm giving him his due this time.
Yeah, that's
what do you think he did then?
Yes, that's
I think he managed Trump very well.
Yeah.
Oh, rubbish.
Yeah,
rubbish.
It's only the flattery, wasn't it?
Yes,
it doesn't matter.
That's what
on screen he managed him very well.
That's it took a bit of flattery and it took a bit of buttering up and it took a bit of yes, Governor, you're the boss and I'm here to.
I know Lammy didn't say much, did he?
Praise you. But that's what it took to do the job. He didn't have sort of Zelensky's ego to.
I think a little bit of what they call licking a certain part of one's anatomy comes into that.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there was. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got no problem with that.
Yeah, but what's that going
to
do in the short term?
I've been into loads of business meetings where I've had to praise somebody. I've had to, we think your product is so good, hustle for a good price. And you do a bit of buttering up. That's what the world's all about. You have to butter people up sometimes. I mean, I have to do it to bloody Mike every morning.
Listen, being on a serious note, the fact that the President Trump is the world's most powerful man, one of the world's most powerful men, and he's faced with an insignificant prime minister from the UK. I've said it before on this show many times. It is about time the UK decided that it was the UK and not a world leader. Because Starmer is not a world leader.
I think you should be had up for treason, Mike.
Well,
come on. We've got to make the UK great again, and
we're not going to make the UK great again under this government, are we? No way.
Country in the world.
No, it's not anymore, unfortunately.
You're
living in a cloud.
Starmer wasn't acting for the Labour Party. He was acting for the people of the United Kingdom with the full support of Parliament.
Oh, rubbish.
Come on, when has he ever put the people first? He hasn't. He doesn't give a toss about the people of this country. And that is a problem. He cares more about being a foreign diplomat. Perhaps he should have been a foreign minister.
Well, he
did a Lammy and give somebody else the prime ministership.
You asked when he did it. He did it in the meeting with Trump. That's exactly when he did it. He put England first.
No, I don't think so.
I don't either.
Party politics, their ideologies are completely diverse.
He sold you, Alan. That's what I think.
Yes, he sold.
He didn't sell me. I still think he's a boring twat.
In fact, Bob,
he did well on the day.
Alan's going to vote Labour next time.
I think he is.
Yeah.
Well, what's his party called? I can't remember.
They can't remember either, you know. So.
I mean, Daisy got up on TV and had a few words the other day, but you never hear her in Parliament, do you?
No.
Well, you do actually if you watch. I
do watch.
Yeah, she's quite often on Parliament.
Yeah, but not questions. She's not. And that's a farce anyway, isn't it?
It is
PMQs, I'm fed up with PMQs. It's got no interest anymore than Question Time has on BBC.
I tune in on a Wednesday, and I am absolutely appalled at the banter that goes on between them. But the Question Time before Starmer's trip to America was very complimentary about what he had to do. He was given the support of the rest of Parliament, and I thought that was a really good thing. It was England pulling together.
They got an audience up in the gallery.
Well, they had an audience up in the gallery. They had an audience in the country. And I think
Tell you what, Alan, could I borrow your rose-tinted glasses?
Yeah, but Mike, I rent them out. All you've got to do is lick parts of my anatomy and you can have a pair.
I think you're looking at the world through a totally different view, you know.
Yeah, of course I am. I'm a realist, and actually, I'm not completely and utterly obsessed with paranoid schizophrenia related to politics and the political, mentality of the ideology.
No, you're obsessed with AI.
You and Bob have got this ideology that anything to do with the Labour Party, Starmer, or the left wing
it's not that at all. I'm not happy with the Tories either. So, it's politics in general. But I think as every government comes into power, it's worse, exceedingly worse than the one before. And there's never been a government quite as bad as this. They don't listen to anybody.
But when was the last time we had a good Prime Minister then, in your opinion?
Thatcher.
Thatcher.
But then she went balmy, didn't she?
She lost the plot in the end.
Yeah.
And she sold off all the council houses and binned the money to make herself.
Well, she didn't bin the money. It's the councils, didn't it? The council should have.
The councils never got the money. The money went straight to the treasury. I think they got a slight small, like a management fee, like a few £100 for everyone that was sold.
Yeah, that might be. But
if the councils had been given the money and they could have built new council houses, that would have been wonderful. But that's not how it worked. Check your facts, Bob. Don't come on.
Well, I'm not. Have I argued with you about that? I haven't argued with you about that. I didn't say otherwise.
You told me the council's binned it.
Well, they haven't built a council house when they could have done.
Hang on,
they have had the money.
We're bouncing around a little bit too much this morning because I still think we haven't finished with the disgusting meeting yesterday in the Oval Office and the worrying words from the President of the United States. He's talking about World War III.
Yeah.
And that, I'm afraid, is an underlying worry to me, because when he talks about it, he bloody means it. He's going to.
Why does he mean that more than anything else he says?
I think he's playing to Trump. I think he's in bed Trump with Putin. I think he's in bed with Vlad.
I think he's embarrassed. I think one of the reasons that actually that
embarrassed.
Yeah, I think he's embarrassed because
who's embarrassed?
Oh, Trump. I think
by what? He's embarrassed by what?
By the relationship that he's just demonstrated over the last two meetings with France and the UK in relation to the war in Ukraine.
How's he embarrassed?
Because he was saying to Starmer everything he wanted to hear, and he was saying the same thing to the French. And I think that what's happened is that he's now got to sort of redress the balance and get back into Putin's good books. Putin's sitting there in the Kremlin going, "Thank you so much."
Yeah, I'm quite sure he was.
Yeah, he's laughing, isn't he?
But he didn't. It hasn't put Trump in a good light anywhere, has it? In the world, I don't know.
No,
Putin will be loving it.
Yeah, I think
the Chinese are probably loving it.
Absolutely, Chris,
and probably the Syrians as well.
Yeah.
I wonder. I mean, we heard on the news that that our illustrious Prime Minister has spoken on the phone to Trump and Zelensky, but
yeah,
we don't hear on the world's news that Trump has spoken to Putin and Xi Jinping at all, do we?
Well, we did hear that they spoke for 90 minutes allegedly when he was.
Oh yeah, they did beforehand, but I bet there was a little phone call from Putin to Trump yesterday, saying, "Well done, mate."
Yeah.
I think there's probably a WhatsApp message from Putin saying, "Donald, you're a good boy. Thank you."
They won't use it. They won't use WhatsApp. It's not encrypted well enough. They'll be using Telegram.
That's right.
Yeah. Is that the Apple one?
No, Telegram's. I think it comes out of Eastern Europe actually.
Isn't it interesting how banking systems went down again yesterday?
Oh, that wasn't a terrorist type thing, no.
Was it? What was it?
No, that's right. That was a computer glitch, Bob.
Yeah. How was it created?
Yeah, that's right, exactly. I'm sorry, I'm looking through my rose-tinted glasses as well this morning.
Yeah, indeed.
Because I've joined Alan's little group, because anybody that reckons that computer failure was anything else but a cyber attack.
Yeah, look what we can do. Isn't it? Yeah, this is a taster. Come on, here's a little taster.
Funny how it all works. Funny how it always happens on payday, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
And they're just proving that it can be done.
Yeah.
This is going to be the.
Never mind stocking up on weapons. It's not going to be weapons that does it, is it? It just knock all our systems out. Whether it be gas, electricity, heating, nothing, will we? If they want to knock us out, they can knock us out in a flash. I think.
Well, that's right.
We'd all likely we could do the same to them, but
we'd all have to go and get new laptops. So.
Well, not a lot of point if you can't connect to anything, is there?
Well, I don't know. You see, if you got on Elon Musk's thing, he's...
Yeah, where was he? I thought he was going to be there yesterday.
Trump probably told him to take one,
But the only trouble is that's going to dominate TV all day today, isn't it?
The underlying point, though, is the fact that, I don't know how many people have gotten onto this, but America only wants this ceasefire and all the rest of it, and a truce with Ukraine because of the rare earth and that, and the minerals.
Of course, that's all it's about. So Trump is not being a president of the United States. He's just being a businessman.
Yeah, and he's not a good businessman at that, is it? That video you showed, Alan, very good. I've seen parts of that before. And that's how he treats people. When he borrows money, then bankrupts a company, takes his cut out of it, then bankrupts a company.
Yeah, for the purposes of the listener, the video we're talking about was an expose of Donald Trump over the last 10 years or more.
Yeah, is that the bloke who wrote the book about him?
Yeah, he did write a book about it.
I think it's the book I've read, actually, because it sounded similar to some of what you were saying, yeah.
But we're not giving out who it is, so
I can't remember his name.
I'll find it in a while and I'll put it up on the chat in case anybody else wants to see it.
But did you see Trump afterward, like later in the day? Because he went outside with his hat on, and he said, Zelensky's called me. He wants to come back. He's coming back this afternoon for more talks. He's returning. It's just to say, he's realised he's in the wrong. He's going to make amends, But I don't think it happened, did he? I don't think
we know we've got that from, because Zelensky went and did a Fox News broadcast or interview, which apparently was scheduled, but then he got on a plane and came home.
Yeah, well, he's coming here, isn't he?
Well, yeah.
He's got this summit tomorrow, haven't we?
Did the king invite him?
I wouldn't have thought so. No, Starmer did. Starmer's now trying to play the peacemaker, isn't he?
Oh dear, let's put my glasses on again.
Yeah, I think I think he'll probably stir things up more than anything else. Don't let Lammy speak. That's the main thing.
Well, oh dear. That goes on slightly to the fact that, we can't pay our pensioners £100 a year to help them with their heating. We can't do that, but we can suddenly cut all the foreign aid off.
Oh, I've got some examples of these.
to support the defence budget.
Yeah, but is it going there? Because they say the defence budget, they reckon he's going to use it on the Chagos Islands to pay Mauritius, don't they?
Well, I mean, we're not
perhaps they should open up and tell people the truth, for once.
What, government tell people the truth?
Listen to some of this. This is foreign aid for you. 500,000 to fuel it. Oh, no, hang on. 500,000, yeah. Women's Affairs Director for the military of Jordan. 133,000 studying shrimp health in Bangladesh. I just picked a few tasty ones. 841,000 to discuss a project, the Europe that gay porn built. 1.1 million, a grant to the University of Sheffield for intersectional inclusion. Nobody quite knows what that means. If you look at the list, they've got a thing on the Spectator now, it lists all these things, but half of them are so written in sort of gobbledygook, nobody understands what they're talking about. And they disguise it, the NGOs and all that claim this money, try out so that the public doesn't understand what it's for. But it's appalling what they've been. And by the way, it wasn't Porsches that they gave to Albania, it was Volkswagens. It was a Porsche dealer in Albania that sold them to them. And they were minibus, I think it were 12 minibuses or 5 cars or something. But why have we got to pay for that, for God's sake?
Well, because
I can't argue with you. I think that there should be humanitarian aid given by the UK.
Yeah, there should be a fund for humanitarian aid, but not for
that should go to feeding people and providing, sanitary stuff and all that good. And maternity kits and all sorts of stuff like that. And I think we've got a duty to do that and I think every other country, every other wealthy country on the planet should be doing the same.
Yeah, I mean, what does this one mean? What does this one mean? £5 million for transforming feminist funding in Iraq. Well, what's that for? What does that mean?
No idea.
Inclusive green enterprises in India, 114 million, and they've got a space program and a nuclear program.
I think giving money to India or any other country that's wealthy is India's quite a wealthy country. It's got a very, mind you,
it's also a poor country, because they don't look after people.
50% of the population live below the poverty line.
Yeah, and the rest. But you see, you got these politicians going, oh yeah, well, we give them these money because it stops them coming over here. Well, it doesn't, does it? That's clearly obvious.
And clearly, the government and the governments of all flavours have completely lost the plot when it comes to immigration in this country. I don't like to sound like a right-wing enthusiast, because if you comment, that's what they perceive you as these days. But we have not discussed the elephant in the room enough. In the real world, the numbers are absolutely appalling, and they're queuing up to come in. There's thousands of them.
Yeah. And he's going to tackle the gangs. He's going to stop the boats.
All these little like slogans,
slogans.
Tackle the gangs.
His favourite ones are the working people. If I hear that one more time,
we're missing a point here. That the UK is not the only country in the world that is suffering from this illegal or irregular migration.
No, we're getting.
France is, Germany is, Holland is, Italy is.
I think we're getting more though than the other countries now. Germany was, but I think we're overtaking them now. I believe we've got the highest.
And it seems the highest number from Pakistan. Well, Pakistan's not not a poor country, is it?
And no, and there's no reason for them to come either. They're not at war, are they?
No.
And then you've got a lot from Afghanistan. I mean, look how many.
Well, I can understand Afghanistan because the Taliban, I could understand, Afghanistan women coming over.
Yeah, but men, we don't know what the men are, do we?
Well, probably cricket players.
We've given into it. And there's the reasons. I'm not against immigration, provided they're going to contribute to this country or they are genuinely fleeing persecution. but the vast majority aren't.
Yeah, but listen, I mean, we talked about it on the show last week, and I can't remember what the exact figure was, but, the Foreign Office has spent quite a lot of money on advertising in Albania, advertising the fact that Britain isn't what you think it is.
Yeah.
Now, I mean...
it doesn't stop them coming, does it? Because they're gangsters.
Of course
they're gangsters that are coming over, aren't they? They're dealing in drugs and people, mainly.
I think that the problem with generalisations is, that I bet there are gangsters amongst the people. I bet there are some genuine refugees. I bet there are some economic migrants.
Hang on. Genuine refugees from Albania
as well.
From Albania, you're talking about, Alan?
Well, they could be from anywhere.
Yeah, we're talking about Albania specifically at this moment.
Well, I don't know why anybody would be a refugee from Albania unless they were a victim of something, like a witch hunt, like Mike does against the Labour Party. I mean,
I think you're right, Mike. I think he's going to vote Labour.
I could go to Albania and claim political refugee status on the basis that I'm discriminated against by Mike Barry.
But I bet you wouldn't get it.
Well, who knows?
Let's have some comments here. Terry says Zelensky didn't flatter Trump enough. The next president became upset and decided to teach Zelensky how he should grovel, I think he meant. He says, my band never gets my account right. They always colour it red. I'm not quite sure about that, what that means. Bank. Oh, bank. My bank never gets it right. Yeah, I saw that, yeah. And Alan, by the way, to listeners, if you're not on Mixcloud, he's posted the link to the Trump interviews. Not the interviews yesterday, the interviews on the programme.
Yeah, the one that Bob and I were discussing that obviously you may not have heard. So if you want to go back and look at it later, there's a link on there.
Terry's very quick here. He said India is untouchable regarding its internal finances. Very good, Terry. Very good.
That's right, though.
Yeah, but the word untouchables, that's what they are.
In fact, do you know, Bob, I've got to let you into a little secret here, just between you and me, all right? So I'm thinking that I might become a Liberal Democrat,
Really?
Because of, Alan's convincing me now, that...
You don't have to do a lot, do you?
No, don't really. Anyway...
What about this lot? What about changing course a minute? What about that lot that turned up at was it in Wales? Cornwall, wasn't it? When Nigel Farage gave his talk, they had all these protesters there. So that seemed to be contrived to me by a certain party.
Well, Nigel Farage is a very clever man, but he's also very dangerous.
Do you think so?
And if you notice it, when he gave a party political speech on Thursday, I think it was, Wednesday or Thursday, he got a blue rosette.
Did he?
Clever.
What's their colour? The colour's purple, isn't it?
Huh?
What's their colour, his party? What colour's Reform? It's purple, isn't it?
Well, it's leaning towards the blue, because...
I seriously think that the Tories will get together with them eventually, nearer to the next election, because I think it's the only way the Tories will survive. And I think it's the only way they're going to beat Labour in pure numbers.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what happens in May with the local politics. Because I reckon that even here in Milton Keynes, I reckon it won't be Labour controlled anymore.
Well, I hope so.
Huh?
I hope it is.
The Reform Party colour is more or less a turquoise type.
Yeah. So that's probably what he was wearing.
It was pretty close to blue.
Yeah.
Which is interesting in itself, isn't it? There's an undermining tone there, isn't there? Don't you think?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the one that I found.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. Well, other colours are left. There's white. I suppose
they also do a white one as well. Blue and white.
Do
they? Yeah.
Like Spurs, isn't it?
However, what about this rather intriguing news from America about Gene Hackman and his wife?
Yeah, I've got a theory on that.
It's very, very sad.
Yeah, isn't it?
It's very sad, but very intriguing because apparently, according to the pathologists and that, his heart, his pacemaker stopped about 12 days ago or something,
17th of February, they say his pacemaker stopped.
Yeah, And
or had an incident.
Really?
Had an incident, yeah. And they reckon they've ruled out carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, that was my first thought.
Yeah,
I think he collapsed because they said his glasses were by his side as if he'd fallen down, just fallen. And the front door was open, apparently, wasn't it? So a couple of
there was a door ajar, and there was nothing. There were no doors secured, but there was one door ajar, which also ruled out the carbon monoxide because it would have escaped.
Yeah, so, I wonder if he, as you say, had a heart attack, collapsed, died. His wife perhaps flipped because she was on medication, took the medication, took too many, dropped them. The dog ate some of the tablets and died as well. But the other two dogs were outside, weren't they?
Yeah, there were two dogs survived, but one died.
Yeah, but, you know, where you hear the transcripts of the call that was made to the emergency services, and they asked, you know, somebody said, well, you know, have you been inside? No, I can't get inside because it's all locked up.
Well, that's what I heard, yeah, and it was different.
Maybe he didn't check all the doors. He was maintenance man or something.
Possible, yeah, unless he shut the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit strange, that phone call, wasn't it? You couldn't really quite understand what.
But they did say there was no external trauma, so I'm sure eventually it'll come out in the autopsies as to what has actually happened. But they're saying that it could be months before they got a result.
Well, this is what I
get. By which time the funeral's happened and everyone's forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, I thought with modern technology and that, perhaps I've been watching too many television programs, but you know that they could take the body in and within sort of, you know, a week at the outside, they would know exactly what the problem was, what the cause of death was.
Yeah, it's only been a couple of days, isn't it?
Well, the problem is as well, if he died on the 17th and it's now the 1st of March, how much decomposition had happened?
Well, they've not said that, have they?
No. And the more a body decomposes, the less chance they have of finding the true cause of death.
Yeah.
Well, that's debatable. Because with modern technology now, you know, I mean, they can find out these things.
I'm not so sure. I think Chris is right, actually, Mike.
Well, I mean, you know, it's like I went for a blood test last year and a diabetes test, and I thought, right, for a couple of days I'll stay off the booze and that, you know.
Oh, that don't make any
sense. And the nurse told me, you know, that the actual test results, the test goes back 3 months. They could test your blood 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Even though you've only just given it, you know. So that in itself is quite clever, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, looking at that, I mean, you got to remember Gene Hackman was 95. So, and he's got heart problems. He had open heart surgery, didn't he?
Well, if he had a pacemaker, so clearly he had heart problems.
Indeed, yeah. So
and the pacemaker probably kept him alive a lot longer than he would have done otherwise.
Quite likely. So it seems likely that he died of natural causes.
I think he was probably natural causes.
Yeah, and maybe the wife committed suicide.
Yeah, who knows?
That's my pet theory.
Yeah. Because she couldn't live without him, perhaps, you know.
Yeah, I think that may well have been. He might have been dead for a couple of days, and she's sitting there, not knowing what to do, and then
quite. She was a classical pianist, wasn't she?
Yeah, but they were very close. From everything I understood, they were. You know, he was a very faithful and good husband. From everything I can understand.
Well, weren't they married for over 30 years, weren't they?
Yeah.
Which meant that when they were married, she was very much a trophy wife, I would imagine.
Absolutely, yeah. Because she's, what, 60, isn't she?
60 now, so she would have been 30 when they married, while he was in his 60s.
God, 35 years younger.
Yeah.
His granddaughter, almost. Yeah.
Anyway, we've got nothing to worry about on the black hole. I've got to bring the black hole into it because apparently the inheritance tax haul is already this year £7 billion to the government. So they're doing well, aren't they? Inheritance
tax. I don't know what you're talking. What inheritance tax is that?
Well, there is only one inheritance tax.
Oh, you're not talking about any new tax then?
No. Talking about inheritance tax.
But wasn't it the same last year?
The taxman raked in 700 million more so far this tax year than in the same period last year.
Well, that's a
That's 11% hike.
That's
worst tax
lately.
ever invented.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why should you pay tax on money you've already paid tax on?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
You haven't.
Well, you have.
You haven't.
Of course you have.
You have.
No, the person who owes the money has, but if they give it to you, you've got to pay tax on it.
Well, do you think that's right?
Well, okay, fine. So you're employed by a company who makes money, and they pay tax on that money, and then they pay you, and you've got to make tax. You've got to pay tax. That's not right. That's not right. You shouldn't have to pay tax.
It's a gift in a will. You shouldn't have to pay it.
Yeah, that's totally different.
Where? What is?
Inheritance tax.
A gift in the will. You can't gift. Well,
Chris, can you say that again? Both Bob and Mike were talking over you.
No, we weren't.
So if in a will, anything that is gifted in a will should be tax free, and they should not be taking tax before the gifts are given out. So I don't believe in inheritance tax. It should never ever exist.
I agree
because anybody who's earned that money, they've already paid tax on it. So now they're dead, they're being taxed even further. It's not right.
Indeed, I agree entirely.
Hang on. If you, I mean, in my case, my mother, I inherited some money from my mother. She never paid tax on that money because it was a house, a sale of a house. I mean, my father bought the house in St Albans for £6,250.
Yeah, but they bought the house on taxable money that they'd earned.
Yeah.
To pay the mortgage, they paid tax on that money that they paid the mortgage with. Already, yes?
I mean, I haven't paid mortgage on my house for 25 years.
What's that got to do with it?
Well, so when I die and pass my house on to my kids, they're going to have to pay. They could have to pay. Well, they won't pay inheritance tax because it comes under the threshold. But if it went over the threshold, they would have to pay inheritance tax. It is money that you're given which you haven't earned. You haven't paid tax on it personally.
Well,
no, but it's a gift.
It's a gift, yeah.
Well, you can't give gifts.
It's not earned. It's not earned income. So why should you pay tax on it?
Why when you win the lottery? Why
don't companies do it then? Why don't companies say to their employees, "Thanks for coming in every day, 9 till 5, and making 100 widgets a day. So we're going to give you a gift. You don't have to pay tax on it."
Well, that's different. You're working for it.
Yeah, you're actually working. You're actually
and
working
income tax was actually introduced for is it to pay for the Napoleonic Wars? Was it, Chris? As a temporary measure.
Probably.
I think we're very lucky.
Most taxes started as a temporary measure and stayed there.
I think we're very lucky that the government has actually said, we will put a limit onto the amount of money that can be gifted.
Oh, don't give them ideas, Mike. They've got enough bad ideas of their own.
There is no such thing as inheritance tax here in Portugal. Doesn't exist.
There's not in most countries.
We must be the most taxed country on the planet, I think.
We are at the moment, I think, yeah.
Well, some of the Nordic countries are pretty heavy on tax, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, but they make up for it. They make up for it pro rata, though, in earning a lot more, don't they?
Well, they earn a lot more money and they have better services.
Yeah, apparently the Americans laugh at the pay we pay our people in this country because they reckon it's way below par.
It is.
I didn't realise that a lorry
if the UK's below par,
£1,000 a week.
UK's below par. Portugal is way below par.
Always has been, isn't it?
We certainly pay our IT people and our medical people way below what you would earn in Australia, in America, all sorts of other places.
And this is why
we've got a brain drain to those countries.
Indeed, of course it is. Why don't they realise this? You know, we're laymen, we can see it. Why can't they see it in government?
Well, they can see it, but they can get away with it. So why don't, that's what they do.
Yeah, but they're short-sighted, aren't they? If these people remained in this country, then they would collect a lot more in tax, wouldn't they?
Okay, so, you want to pay everybody double the amount of money that they're getting at the moment. Where are you going to get this money from?
Yeah.
It goes out
the black hole.
Goes out of money trees, doesn't it?
How do other countries do it?
What?
How do other countries do it?
Because they've always done it. It's always been. They've done it like that.
Well, that's an answer, is it?
It just means the cost of living is higher anyway.
Yeah.
It's all pro rata. Australia pay higher wages, but the cost of living in Australia is higher. It's the same in the UK.
I'd rather live in the UK and pay £5 a pint for a pint of beer than live in Switzerland and pay £20 a pint.
Yeah, but
I'd really like to live in Portugal and pay £2 a pint.
Yeah, it's all Portugal's looking very attractive at the moment. It's all swings and roundabouts, though, Mike, isn't it?
Well, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, the swings are going the other way to me.
Well, because they're taxing us on everything, aren't they? And you wait and see if VAT goes up. I mean, VAT's a killer, isn't it?
Well, VAT's a good idea, I think.
I don't, because it creates a two-tier system, doesn't it?
VAT or its equivalent is in every single country.
It's what, Chris?
It's in every country in one way, shape, or form. It's 23%. It's 23% here. It's 21% in Germany. It's 21% in France. So 20% in the UK. VAT is actually cheaper.
But it encourages.
And in America, you have sales tax, which is their equivalent.
Yeah.
And that varies, doesn't it, from state to state?
Yeah, well, that's because the government gets some and the state gets some, and it's what depends what the state decides that they want to collect.
What's that picture, Alan?
It's a black hole.
Oh, the black hole.
Yeah, it's my background of a black hole.
Yeah, what sort of black hole is this lot going to leave for the next government?
I don't know, but they could always use the money tree.
Well, yes. You see, what they forget is, there's so much money they could save from what they do, isn't there? I mean, they blow money needless because it's not their money, and it's easy to spend other people's money, isn't it? But when it comes to spending your own, it's a different matter.
You just get the Bank of England to make some more.
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of saying it. The fact that the NHS bosses saying, "Don't give us any more money. We don't need it. We just need to do the job properly." And it's the same as they're talking about the Strategic Arms Review budget, which is coming out, or report rather, which is coming out in a couple of months' time. And again, the powers that be are admitting that it's not. We don't need more money. We just need the money that we've got spent properly and wisely, instead of committing all these millions to these jet fighters and army boots and all the rest of it, which when it comes out in being, they're not fit for purpose.
Yeah, we're not talking about this budget increase now. We're talking about 2027, aren't we?
Well,
we could all be blown away by then.
The increase starts, but if I understand it rightly, the increase starts immediately almost, but it gets up to that total amount by then.
No, I thought it was going to take till that time to decide what they're going to spend it on.
Well, yeah, and then, you've got to place orders, and then people have got to sort of work on those orders, so you don't actually end up paying those bills until then. Yeah, you're right. But I think that the problem is we've got all these armchair economists that sit back saying, "Oh well, if they only spent money on the good stuff, and if they only spent money correctly," and then but really and truly, it's pretty hard to spend money. It's not easy. You have to go through a process.
Well, that's why they give it to these stupid projects that NGOs come up with, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they've also got to spend that budget, so they give it to these stupid causes that benefit no.
Well, I've been involved
in any of us.
I've been involved in a company where we had to spend X number of pounds before the end of the year. It was like spend it or get taxed on it.
Well, that's the difference, yeah. But that's not the case with foreign aid, is it?
I think when you're allocated a budget, if you don't spend it, you lose it. It's spending.
Yeah, well, that's right.
That happens a lot in the NHS. That happens a lot in local government.
Yeah, well, it's a nonsense, isn't it? It should be carried over to the following year.
Yeah, you should be able to carry over your budget.
So it encourages to spend the money unwisely, doesn't it?
It encourages them to do panic spending.
There's no company I've ever been involved in that happens. You know, I mean, I worked for BT, you know, and we were warned about this time of the year, actually. You know, early January and that, you know, if you've got any money left in your budget, you know, spend it.
Yeah.
Even if in fact you book work, you know, for the new tax year, so that you're in credit with the, you know, your PR company or whoever it is, you know. It's no. I mean,
one of the biggest bugbears to me is this spending on net zero. I mean, the amount of money that Miliband's going to pour down the drain is unbelievable.
Well, 20 billion.
Yeah, what are we going to achieve from this? Nothing. We're not going to get lower energy prices. You know, does he think we live in cloud cuckoo land? You know, it's going up and up and up.
Ed Miliband does. I think Ed Miliband does. I think he lives in a little fantasy world where everything's going to work with a wind farm.
Yeah, but why is he allowed to get away with this?
Well, I don't know why anybody spending. I don't know why the government's spending on it, because actually the wind farms are quite profitable. You know, I see that should be left up to business to sort out. And I think the only issue with regard the government should be involved in is granting planning permission where you've got all these local objections because they don't like the look of a wind farm. You know, sod them, mate. Build the wind farm.
Well, do you want
to solar farms?
And same with solar farms. Yeah, people are saying, "Oh well, solar farms are spoiling my view from my kitchen window. I used to be able to look out of a beautiful scenery, and now all I can see in the distance is a black dot on the sky, which is a solar farm."
Well, you could understand that, can't you?
No.
Why not? You know, we should be fracking, and what's he going to do? He's going to fill in the two existing drill holes with concrete. I
think we should be fracking. You know,
right? We should be using resources in the North Sea. That's what it's there for.
I agree with you. That's why I'm a bit too right wing to be a Liberal Democrat. Really, they'll probably sling me out of the party for saying things that I say with regard to energy and defence.
Well, they're on the verge of being green on. Well, I still don't believe. I don't believe all this climate change. You know, I know we've got to do some things.
Sorry, you've lost me there, because you know, climate change deniers are just like I think that off the trolleys.
I do believe in climate change, but we seem to be the only country in the world that's actually trying to do something about it.
Exactly.
Which means that we're just a small speck in the world that are doing anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, didn't they say 20 years ago we'd be gone by now?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't. You know,
there were people that said that there'd be people falling off the cliffs because we were so overpopulated 25 years ago and 30 years ago.
Who said that? Never heard that one.
I'm intrigued by a report that came out in the week about these wind farms. You know, because they spent a lot of money doing a lot of research as to why birds were being killed.
You're going to paint them black now,
blades. So what they've come up with now is that they're going to paint the blades a different colour.
Paint them black.
Paint them black.
Yeah.
Because that'll stop the little birdies from flying into them. So, you know, to save a few little birdies, it's going to cost millions and millions to paint them black.
Well, then they will be ugly, and I wouldn't want them on the horizon. I think they've got a strange beauty in there. Because there's a wood farm near us. Which has got three wind turbines. Three wind turbines near us, and I think they have a strange beauty. I like.
I do. I think to an extent, but you don't want the whole country covered in them, do you?
It's certainly not black ones.
If it's saving energy and making our reliance,
but it's not saving energy, is it? It's not.
Well, it is.
Well, yeah, but they can't operate in much of the time.
The thing is,
well, then if it's windy,
they only build them where it's windy.
That's not exactly the UK has always got wind in one part of it or another. There will be times when the south has got lots of wind and the north has got nothing, and vice versa. So what you've got to have is a national grid, and that's the bit that we don't have. We don't have that infrastructure with the power from wind farms to distribute it around. And when we try and put a national grid in, we've got complaints that people don't want to see cables going across the countryside. They want them all buried, which makes them possibly expensive.
I'll tell you what.
There's no pleasing a lot of people.
You talk about wind. I mean, there's an awful lot of wind goes out on Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio, on a Saturday morning on the Grumpies, you know.
Oh, we could supply the UK with energy, you know.
Yeah, well, what about the latest?
There's a lot of heat.
What about the latest? You know, we've got to get rid of cattle. We can't eat meat and all this nonsense. Yeah, we've got to cut back on 2 kebabs a week. Who eats 2 kebabs a week? I don't.
Yeah. Thanks, Les. Les Garment's come out.
You don't make kebabs out of cows anyway.
Hang on, Les has put a comment on. Thanks, Les. He says we will see climate change from our age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we will do, but again, isn't it? I call it cyclic. You know, in the sense that when we were all kids, you were on summer holiday and it hardly ever rained, did it? Apart from when you went to the beach. You know, and I mean, the seasons are changing now. I don't think there's any shadow of doubt about that. You know, because it's
like the film of the war. It always seemed to be sunny, didn't it?
The winters are not as harsh as we used to get.
No,
we're getting more water, but we still suffer from drought in the summertime. I mean, strange world we're living in, really, isn't it?
Well, they're not planning for the future, have they? It's all last minute, you know, panic, isn't it? Really.
I don't think there's a scientist on the planet that hasn't seen some evidence of climate change.
Yeah, but it's the excessiveness of it, isn't it? You know, I'm not denying it is climate change, but as Chris said, if we're the only country in the world who is absolutely obsessed with it, what difference is it going to make? The Chinese are not going to change. You know, the Indians are not going to change. The Russians are going to change. Nor America. America's pumping out CO2, isn't it? More than anybody.
The Chinese.
And what did Trump say? Drill, baby, drill.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, the Americans have got, you know, I think the American attitude stinks at the moment. But I think it's Donald Trump that stinks. I think if you actually sit down with Americans and actually have a sensible conversation with them, I don't think many of them are Trump lovers.
Well, I will say here, you all know that I regularly hike. Well, I hike with a very diverse community, and many of them are American. They either live here or they have holiday homes here, and there is not one of them has a good word to say about him.
Yeah, I'd say people I know that are American, yeah.
But I've been in America quite a few times really, and actually worked there, and sort of like got to meet what I would call normal people outside of the tourist industry, and they're lovely people, hospitable, really nice.
Well, yeah, absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
And
then there's Trump.
But then there's Trump, but I've also come across some of the Trump nutters. I had an incident. I've told you a story about this in the bar in a place called Redwood, High California, where I came across a complete fruitcake who hated the English because of his papa was in the IRA and all sorts of things. Physically violent man, a complete racist.
You're going to get these everywhere, aren't you?
You'll get a slice of them in Newport Pagnell on Friday night. You've only got to look on Westbury Lane and you'll find a few.
Oh, here we go. Trying to be a little bit funny again, So there we
Changes in magnetic north, Les says. What does that mean?
Well, changes in magnetic north. That's upset everybody's compass.
Well, one of my American friends on Facebook this morning posted a picture of an upside-down American flag, which is supposed to be a distress sign. No words to go with it, just the upside-down American flag.
Yeah, but they did that. That's what they did to us, didn't they?
World War III. Gentlemen, I'm going to say it's time now. We've got to take a little bit of an interlude, all right? Just for a little while to let you go and make yourself a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or do whatever you like. But we will be back after this short interlude with another riveting hour of the Grumpies on Spec here on Spectrum Air, the colourful voice of radio.
You are listening to Spectrum on Air. Want to know more ways you can find your favourite internet radio station? Then you've come to the right place. You can hear us on Get Me Radio on any device and using the Get Me Radio app for smartphones and speakers. You can also hear us on Radio UK, MyTuner Radio, and on Radio Box. There is a playlist of everything we have broadcast over the past 7 days. With certain shows, you can hear and actually see us on Mixcloud Live. Just look out for the show picture with Mixcloud Live logo on it. Want to download our free specialist Alexa smart speaker app? Just search the Alexa skills for Spectrum on Air. Missed your favourite show? Don't panic. We have a comprehensive listen again service on mixcloud.com. Just search for Spectrum on Air. We also have our own YouTube channel where we keep our outside broadcast videos and specialist shows. Just go to YouTube and search for, well, you know by now. So that's it, a comprehensive rundown of the many...
You are listening to Spectrum on Air. The colourful voice of radio.
All new shows to listen to on Spectrum on Air. Reggae.
Ooh, yeah.
Rock and roll jukebox.
Well, it's one for the money, two for the show, three to get ready. Now go, cat, but don't you step on my blue shoe.
And country go. All new shows on Spectrum on Air. Visit our website on spectrumonair.com or listen on Mixcloud Live.
Don't forget, you can listen to this radio station on the Get Me Radio platform. Download the Get Me Radio app and listen on your Android or Apple mobile phone, and a whole range of TV apps such as Roku, Fire, Android and Apple TV. You can also listen on Alexa and Google Home devices. Just search for Get Me Radio. Download the apps and listen to this radio station on your favourite devices.
Why not come with me, Tony Ingledown, on a journey in my time tunnel? Broadcast every Monday between 2 and 3 p.m. on Spectrum on Air. I'll be taking a trip down memory lane, playing music from the late 60s through to the 80s. Indulge yourself in some nostalgia and let us go back in time together. That's Tony's Time Tunnel every Monday between 2 and 3 p.m. on Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio. I hope that's a date. Don't be late.
Having trouble advertising your act? Need more exposure without breaking the bank? Here at CJC Promotions, we believe that teamwork, bonding and having fun go hand in hand with promoting your work. We believe in artists getting the exposure they deserve without experiencing the stressful side of social media and advertising. With contacts worldwide covering a multidisciplined media environment, we can target your talent so you gain the experience without the consequence of wasted time in unproductive ventures. So, if you are serious about getting your talent out there, just contact Catherine at cjcpromotions.co.uk. That's Catherine at cjcpromotions.co.uk. And remember, our aim is to nurture your talent, not exploit it.
You are listening to Spectrum on Air. The colourful voice of radio.
I'm Barry. I'm Bob Bluffield. I'm Alan Mallion. Together we are the Grumpy Old Men.
Every Saturday morning between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Only on Spectrum on Air. Often controversial, sometimes fun, but never dull. The Grumpy Old Men bring you their slant on world events and current affairs. 8 to 10 Saturday mornings. And a very warm welcome back to the second hour of this morning's programme. And as I say at the top of the hour, there's a warning that this show contains free speech from the presenters, which may upset or offend.
And as I say, welcome back. Now then, sticking with them, just before we move across back from the American situation, what do you think of these pictures with Elon Musk and his chainsaw? He's been running around the stage with a chainsaw, hasn't he?
Well, he's got it off the Argentinian guy, hasn't he? That's what he does.
Well,
the Argentinian president, whose name escapes me.
Apparently, they're talking now about his bizarre behaviour is prompting rumours of chronic stress and even ketamine abuse. And now he claims that his ex claims that their child is seriously unwell and that he won't even get in touch. So, well, I don't know.
Has he got a paternity case or something going on at the moment? Or
well, he's got 13 children, you know, by different people.
Yeah.
Because he wants to populate or repopulate the world, help to populate the world, you know. So now then, back in this country, our lovely government, you know, and that lovely Angela Rayner, you know.
She's been quiet lately, isn't she?
Well, the cost of paying civil servants, listen to this, has ballooned under Angela Rayner in just 5 months. The total spend on staff in the housing ministry and its associated quangos has gone up by £20 million since Miss Rayner took over the department. The extra cost has been mostly driven by splurging on outside consultants, hiring officials and paying civil servants expensive overtime. That's another £20 million. Don't worry about that. It's only £20 million.
Yeah, well, it's well overstaffed, and now they want to go on strike because they don't want to go into work 3 days a week, do they?
No, they don't. Well, why should they?
Oh, Dave, why should they be employed?
They go into work? Eh?
I know. Well, look at the numbers of unemployed now, particularly those on long-term sickness benefits who don't even get checked upon. They don't even have to look for jobs, do they?
No.
They can't all be sick, can they? Or can they?
Whoa, that's a question I ask myself.
Yeah, I don't think so.
There is no answer to it. There's no.
You got this madness in Portugal, Chris.
To be perfectly honest, I find it difficult to follow the politics in Portugal because I don't speak the lingo.
Don't you think you should learn?
Yeah.
Do you know how difficult it is at the age of 70 to learn a new language?
Yes, I do. I've always found it difficult to learn a new language anyway, you know.
Yeah.
And I will say, I did try, and I spent quite a lot of money with a tutor to try.
Yeah, I've done them, yeah.
But the problem is, the only people who want you to speak Portuguese are the bureaucrats. And everybody else wants to talk English to you because they prefer to practice your English than you practice your Portuguese on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very bad at learning languages, though, aren't we, I think? I mean, I think some people have just got the knack of picking them up, haven't they, so easily.
But did you know that Portuguese is the 5th most spoken language in the world?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised. They did a lot of conquering in their day, didn't they? Are they involved
if you take the entire population of Brazil, there you go. That's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I went to Albufeira and I learnt a little bit of Portuguese.
Obrigado. Obrigado.
I went to get my hair cut and I went up this back street and found a little barber shop and went in there. And they were all babbling away there, and then the barber said to me, he said, gesticulated that I got in the chair. And I sort of turned and I pointed at all these other blokes, and I said, it should be there. No. He said, so I thought, well, I ain't going to argue because he's going to be the one with a razor in his hand, So I sat in the chair and I tried my Portuguese, my very smattering of Portuguese, which was literally words. There was no grammar involved in it or anything like that. But all these old boys were absolutely fascinated, and they all started trying their pidgin English on me, and then they got the port out, and I started having glasses of port. So I came away from the hairdressers the barbers about 2 hours later, somewhat unsteady on my feet.
And realised that only half of your hair had been cut.
Wonderful experience.
Very friendly people.
They are indeed, yeah.
I had the same experience in Germany. I worked in Germany for a while, and the office that I worked in spoke English. They answered the phone in English. And they were all Germans, but they all spoke in English. And when I tried to use the odd German word, they were all grateful that they could practice their English on me. exactly the same experience.
I think it's pretty much the same.
Heil
most
Hitler,
of the world,
Heil Hitler isn't really speaking German, you know.
Must be banned.
Abbrigio.
Yeah. Oh well, never mind. Now then, here we go. This is what makes
Hal Starmer, was it, or Herr Starmer, was it?
Do you know we've got to build a house every 151 seconds?
Yeah.
That's just
Where these builders coming from?
Well, where is the materials coming from?
They're coming over on boats.
Imports. They're talking about now prisoners earning their keep. Do you think they could contemplate them building houses?
Well, that would have been like building.
Oh, I see. You've been in America, seen the chain gangs, haven't you, on the road?
Yeah, but
men in the roads in their orange outfits.
Yeah, but they just smash up concrete and that, don't they? You know, and rocks and everything. You know, so.
Well, no. When I was in Florida, they were repairing the roads.
I mean, would you like to buy a house that was built by prisoners?
No idea. It's no bad, no worse probably than some of these jerry builders. I mean, when you look at my house, you know, you see things like fittings are put on with one Phillips screw and one crosshead screw, you know, and you think a normal screw, you know.
Well, don't forget, in World War II, prisoners of war were used to build German munitions, weren't they? They had plenty of opportunity to scupper that lot, didn't they?
Yeah. They also worked on the farms, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
And then, of course, after the Second World War, you could buy a British-made car, you know, as long as you didn't buy a Friday one.
Yeah, that's right.
Or a Monday one.
Or a Monday one.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm thinking in terms of, they're talking about recruiting for the military, aren't they, to build the military numbers up of you know, recruiting migrants, you know. Well, that's going to be good, isn't it? Don't you think, if they come from countries that don't like us?
I think the biggest problem we got when it comes to, you know, this spending on defence budget is we need to increase the numbers, but they can't recruit enough people as it stands.
Well, no, because the RF decided they want white people, did they?
Well, I haven't heard that.
Well, you haven't read that. The RF advertised they were only taking on ethnics.
Yes.
Ethnic people. It said that white people needn't apply. Because they decided
it's only so they could meet their diversity targets.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was a bit of a nonsense, actually, because they did take that down pretty quickly, because they realised that it was, you know, inciting violence. It's exactly the same way at the moment as they're now saying, you know, if you're a girl, don't join the army, you know.
Because of what happened to that young lady that was raped by her.
What's going on in that place? It's not the first incident. What's it called? Deep Down? No, what was it called? The barracks? A particular army camp? Because there've been quite a few cases there, hasn't there?
Oh, Lark Hill or something, wasn't it?
No.
Yeah, I know the one you mean.
Deep something, wasn't it? Deep throat. No.
Deep, yeah.
Deep
yeah, I mean, but there are loads of barracks around and that, you know, But I mean, I walked many years ago. I walked into the Women's Royal Army Corps sergeant's mess in Aldershot.
Well, not in that tutu.
And there was a lot of women in there, and they all lowered their times and that, and the rustle of voice went through. You know, there's a man in here.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you doing in there?
That was something that happened to me many years ago. You know.
What were you in there for?
Well, I was wearing my tutu. I was showing everybody what I looked like in my tutu. I was actually involved in recruiting young ladies that were in the Women's Royal Army Corps into the corps that I was in. So, and
the Apple Corps.
Myself and then Colonel, yes, we used to go down every 6 weeks, I think it was, and interview some of these lasses who were very nice, I must say, you know. So,
Terry says, my problem...
Deep cut barracks.
That's it. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, came synonymous with bullying, brutality and sexual harassment.
Indeed. Yeah. Why didn't they do something about it? You know, it went on for long enough, didn't it? There was I think two or three died down there, didn't they?
I'm sure 2 did, at least.
Yeah. Terry's saying, my problem as well most want to practice their English out on me. I reply, I will give lessons at a small charge. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, but it's also interesting if you go onto the Amazon Germany site, you can look at it in English. You go onto the Amazon Spain site, you can look at it in English. You go on the Amazon Italy site, you can look at it in English. You go onto Amazon.co.uk, you can't see it in any other language, but it's English only.
Yeah,
right through.
And yeah, I've noticed on a couple of occasions when I've gone onto the Lidl app that in fact it's all in German.
Yeah, probably.
Because Lidl is a German company.
It's a German company.
Yeah.
As is Aldi.
As is Aldi, yes. Yeah.
Well, there's that old joke, isn't there? What do you call a person that speaks 3 languages? Trilingual. What do you call a person that speaks 2 languages? Bilingual. What do you call a person that speaks 1 language? English.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
yes, sadly, that's very true. You know, but English is it's the universal language, isn't it?
It is. I worked for in the CAD industry back in the 80s and 90s, and we went to the Olivetti Software Conference in Germany, and all the conferences were held in English. All the speeches, everything were all held in English. It's where I heard that joke. I was amazed.
Yeah.
Well, you're easily amazed, aren't you? But I tell you what, do you think we might be creeping our way, or the government creeping its way back into overturning Brexit? Because Keir Starmer has been condemned over reported plans to undermine sovereignty by caving into EU demands for a new youth mobility scheme. It's been reported that Britain is set to sign up for the free movement for those under 30.
Yeah.
Albeit with some safeguards to avoid a surge in migration.
Yep.
But do you? I mean, I personally
think that's a wonderful idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
and I actually think it was one of the worst things about about Brexit was the fact that the UK youth couldn't travel to Europe and maybe work in Europe and learn other cultures. One of the worst things about Brexit.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
and if I was a student, I might want to go and study in a French university or a German university for a year, so that it would help master the language, apart from a number of other things. And I know a friend of mine, who actually went to higher education in France so that they could practice their French.
You see, also
let's not forget many of the farm workers that we had over in the UK came from Poland and other Central European countries, and they were bloody hard workers.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, just going to say that. Yeah, we got rid of the people that did contribute to our country and took in the ones that don't.
Exactly.
And some young, fit Polish builders are coming handy at the moment.
Yeah.
I think you're a bit old, Alan, to be a mature student.
Well, they're always they're students. All these Americans you see, they're like in their 30s and they're at school. They're always at school, aren't they, in America? You're never too old to be a student, are you?
No,
I don't think so.
No,
we're all students of the world, aren't we?
They say you learn something new every day, so you're at school every day.
You certainly do. You certainly do.
Yeah,
we learned something yesterday with Trump, didn't we?
Wish I could learn something new every day. And don't agree with me, Alan.
Well, you could if you tried. You're going to play Barry Hyde's record, Mike?
No, I can't. I have no way of playing it. I have to send it up to the Spectrum on Air library, put it in that. So I shall do that and then play it probably on a breakfast show or something.
A former Grumpy. Yes, a former Grumpy.
I'll let him know when I'm going to do it. The Home Office says to be pushing for a cap of around about 70,000 people per year under this plan for the students. The Prime Minister is also pressing for an NHS surcharge fee for those who come to work or study and for a ban on claiming welfare. The Liberal Democrats accuse Labour of backing their policies. MP Mike Martin said, "Good to see the government is listening."
Yeah, it is.
The government don't listen. Don't be silly.
Yeah.
When does the government ever listen?
They don't. They never listen to anybody. They do listen to Spectrum on Air, though, the colourful voice of radio, and the Grumpies.
Yeah, well, that means they get a knock on the door, though. That's all they're listening for.
Well, this is it, you know. So now then, we mentioned this on the show last week, and I'm going to mention it again because it keeps cropping up, and I'm getting slightly concerned over it now. You know, never mind about Trump and his Third World War, but another coronavirus feared to be powerful enough to spread through humans has been discovered in bats in China. Researchers at the guess where Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Yes, well, they're working on a second virus.
Yeah,
but the talk is now that they already had the vaccines.
Yeah,
the vaccines were already produced before the disease came out, was released, or escaped. If you think it escaped, you got another thing coming.
This HKU5-covirus viruses were first detected in bats in 2006, but this strain poses a higher risk of spillover to humans than others. The United States intelligence community has claimed that COVID leaked from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Now then, you know,
I think it more than leaked. I think it was let out.
Well, let out, leaked, whatever. I mean, but would we be able to cope with it if it happened again? You know, because
probably not.
I mean, people are going to say, well, you know, it didn't do us any harm last time, and we had all these lockdowns and all that, so we're not going to take any notice of them.
Bats have got a lot to answer to, haven't they? I mean, there's a virus now, a deadly virus going around in the Congo, and they reckon it started with a boy ate a bat, a dead bat. And then we're trying to protect bats by building a cover over the HS2, aren't we, to preserve bats, to protect them.
Yeah. Some ridiculous cost.
£300,000 a bat.
Really ridiculous.
I mean,
it's batty. It's batty.
Batty, isn't it? It really is batty.
Oh, yes.
Let's move on, gentlemen.
What is going on?
Let's move on to this lovely story about the BBC and how they commissioned a Gaza film to be made, and it was made by a chap whose daddy is a Gaza.
That's all propaganda.
Well, the BBC, they don't do things like that, do they?
No, not much. And Gary Lineker's come out and spoken saying that it should be put back on. Well, Gary Lineker shut his mouth.
We are talking about not Gary Lineker, but a Gaza documentary.
Yeah, I know we are.
Which was narrated by the son of a Hamas minister.
They clearly didn't do their due diligence, did they?
No,
they didn't, did
they? When do they?
The BBC had initially tried to defend the programme and pointed the finger at the London-based production company for not telling it about the Hamas link. It said, we followed all our usual compliance procedures in the making of this film, but we'd not been informed of this information by the independent producers when we complied and then broadcast the finished film. Oh, isn't that a get-out-of-jail card?
I think it's just a cock-up.
Oh, come on, Alan.
Well, I don't think they deliberately commissioned a film which, you know, had the son.
Well, as Chris says, yeah, but you got to take, as Chris said, due diligence, haven't you? And they certainly didn't do that, did they?
Yeah. They got it wrong. They pulled it.
Yeah, but how many things did they get wrong? Hell, well, they're getting everything wrong, aren't they?
Well, they don't.
How many people watched it before they pulled it, though? Yeah. And how many people believe what came out of it? I didn't watch it, so I don't know.
I didn't watch it either, so you know. So if I didn't watch it, probably the majority of people on the planet didn't watch it because.
Well, look at the scenes when they released those babies, the coffins of those babies. Wasn't that appalling? And they were all, a lot of those cheering the children. They're, terrible.
Hamas are really disgusting people.
I think so.
They are low life. I mean, the concept of actually taking hostages in the modern world just seems.
Don't worry, Alan. They'll be coming to a town near you soon.
Well, I hope not. If they do, I'll breed it. I'll make them eat bats.
Yeah. But I killed a bat once in the car. Its radar must have packed it. I got home and I thought, what's it on the front of my car? It was a BMW like yours, Chris. And there was this bat, perfectly full, dead, across my grill.
When I first moved up to Milton Keynes, I moved on to an estate called Netherfield. And at night, he used to get bats coming over all the time. I haven't seen any in recent times.
No, I don't get many around here, funny. Occasionally, but very rare. Surprisingly, living near the canals, there'll be a lot of them.
There must have been some sort of battery. I don't know what a rookery of some description. I don't know.
No, it's rooks.
But there were literally sometimes maybe 20 or 30 of them.
Yeah.
And they'd fly around the gardens.
Quite amazing creatures, really.
Yeah, I think that they've got a terrible reputation because of the vampire bat.
Well, there are vampire bats, aren't there?
Perhaps we should get one on the programme.
I think the Hammer House, a horror film production company, are responsible for the way we feel about
liven things up a bit, So
yeah, well, you should be getting your hair, which is absolute nonsense. They don't get in your hair.
No, they don't get anywhere near it. They've got
radar.
I must admit, though, they are a bit scary when you see them coming towards you and that, because they veer out of the way. But there you go. At any rate, it's 24 minutes past the hour, and if you miss any of this program at all, you can. Well, you should be.
You're lucky.
On YouTube at the moment, actually, and you can catch YouTube records the show, and you can watch it back on YouTube. So anytime you like. So it's a good tool, for you if you want to. If you've got the stomach to watch the Grumpies back all the way through, and that's it. Now then, I'm going to move on. What about there was a little MP who recently took offence at somebody and give him a good hiding, and he got 10 weeks in prison from the magistrates. But now a judge has overturned that and said he should be released, and he's been released.
What a travesty of justice!
It's been changed to a suspended sentence, hasn't it?
Yeah, if it'd been you and I, it would have been
suspended sentence for 2 years.
Yeah, that's right.
It's appalling. He could have killed that guy. The way he hit that guy, he was lucky the guy didn't hit his head when he went down. At the back of his head, because he could have killed him.
I see Alan's changed his tune,
Yeah, wouldn't it? He's a bat of hell. But what do you think? I think it's absolute travesty of justice. I think the judge should be expected to get up and give his reason for that. So how long was he in jail for? He must have been in jail, 3 days or something?
3 days.
And but the thing is, how did he manage to get an appeal that soon?
Exactly.
Because he was an MP.
Yeah, exactly. So,
it's who you know, isn't it?
Exactly right, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so blatantly obvious, isn't it? And they try to deny it all the time. It's like the two-tier police.
I mean, we've all seen the video. I mean, it was just horrendous.
Well, he didn't just hit him, did he? He pummeled him, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely pummeled him.
What a horrible individual.
The only thing is, of course, we don't know what provoked him to do it, So
yeah, that's the bit I'm curious about. What actually made him lose his rag?
Well, Jack Daniels, I think.
Well, yeah, he's drunk for one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, does that he's an MP, for God's sake. He should know better.
Yeah, because I mean, you and me have been on things when Alan's been drunk, haven't it? We haven't
hit him, have we? And he hasn't hit us.
No, which is
I'm a non-violent drinker,
which is fortunate, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a non-violent drinker. I don't get violent.
Well, I thought the strange thing was it was two women that tried to drag him off the bloke, not the other blokes that are standing about watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the women seemed to be fearless, didn't they? They just went straight in there and said, "Wait."
Yeah, didn't they? Yeah. You got to hand it to them, haven't you?
Yeah, you got to hand it. You're quite right.
The other point for debate on this particular subject is the fact that, and it was pointed out by David Lewis, actually, who was a former magistrate. I don't think he's a magistrate anymore because you have to give up your magistrative, whatever it is, after the age of 70. But David certainly was a magistrate. But as he rightly pointed out, if you're an MP and you get jailed, you continue to get your MP's salary.
It's crazy.
If you're a pensioner and you get jailed, you lose your pension.
Yeah.
Isn't that a double whammy?
Yeah, that's a two-tier system.
What's the rules? What's the rules about being an MP? I think if you're put in jail, I think if the sentence is less than a year, I think you can still be an MP, can't you?
I believe that's the case.
Yeah.
I thought it was less than that. I thought there was the 6-week threshold for some reason.
No, I think it's a year.
I think it's 3 months actually, but we'll check on that.
Chris is doing so, I think, aren't you, Chris?
No, we'll check on that. But
I'm looking.
Regardless of the facts, I mean, it shouldn't be. You know, if you're an MP and you're jailed, then you should lose your salary. Not necessarily lose your job, but lose your salary.
Yeah.
Until you come back out into the wild world again, you know. So.
Yeah, but when you consider there's also several people in jail for making comments on social media that weren't particularly offensive, they're still in jail. And this guy who is a violent individual, or he was in that particular incident, it's got out. It's not right, is it?
No, it really is wrong.
It stinks. It stinks to high heaven. Really does.
Yeah. You know, it's one of the only thing I agree with Elon Musk is because he made a comment on that, didn't he? That we were imprisoning people. The thought police were imprisoning people. You know, if you incite violence, if you say you should go around and beat up people with a big nose, then you know. Then you're inciting violence. Then that I can see as an offence. But if you say, I don't like people with big noses because they really upset me.
Is it really imprisonable?
You are disqualified from becoming a member of the House of Commons if you've been found guilty of an offence and sentenced to more than 1 year in prison.
Yeah, thanks.
That's from becoming a member.
Yeah.
That's right. That's from becoming an MP.
In March 2019, Fiona Onasanya, the Labour MP, was sentenced to 3 months in prison on conviction for perverting the course of justice and faced a recall election.
That's right. It's 3 months.
It sounds like it's 3 months.
Yeah, I think it is 3 months, and that you've got to call an election, you know. So, unless in the meantime the electorate, 10% of the electorate, can gang up on you, I think, and do it.
Well, the Reform have already done that because it's the electorate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Reform have already got the 10% thing sorted, but he's not gone to prison now, so.
No.
He did go. Well, he must have gone to prison, mustn't he? After
he did go to prison. He went for 2 days, I think, wasn't it?
2 days,
wasn't it?
Yeah, a complicated.
Yeah, he went to prison, so he'll probably get compensation now for having to spend time in prison because his sentence was changed.
Yeah.
Of course he will, but you know,
you're right.
Going on to what to what Alan was saying about this thought police and that, you know, it was 2 police officers paid a visit to a grandmother and overthrew his speech and simply for criticising Labour politicians on Facebook. Detectives were last night accused of acting like East Germany's feared Stasi secret police for quizzing Helen Jones over her calls for the resignation of local councillors.
No, it was one local councillor, wasn't it?
Well,
and he was involved in the WhatsApp scandal recently when they were saying about somebody should be killed or something. I don't know what the ins and outs of it were.
Conceded that the 54-year-old had committed no crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mrs. Jones says she's effectively been silenced by the officers. So she was so intimidated by them calling at her door and is too terrified to post on social media again.
This is what they're trying to do, and I can't understand this whatsoever.
You'd expect this in Russia, wouldn't you? Silence.
Indeed. Yeah. Why are they allowed to come round when you haven't committed a crime? And two plainclothes officers, you know, which goes to show they got nothing better to do.
No.
But, you know, the blame's going to go back to their chief officer, isn't it? Or whoever's in charge at their particular station. But the guy that made the complaint was allegedly the councillor involved.
Well, he would do, wouldn't he? You know, in the immortal.
They don't look like a couple of plonkers. Have you seen the video of them? They did look like a couple of plonkers.
Yes, they did, didn't they? Yeah.
And she's looking like she's living in the middle of a load of roadworks.
The thing is, what I asked myself, how did they get her address?
Well, that's another thing, isn't it? Off the council register, I should think.
Yeah.
Off the electoral register.
Well, yeah, he doesn't look like a policeman, does he?
No, exactly. That's what I thought.
He looks like
an accountant, Chris.
He looks more like a paedophile.
Paedophile, yeah, perhaps he is.
Oh, you're pushing your luck, Alan.
Oh, I know I am.
I'll tell you what, mate.
I'll call old Bill round this afternoon.
I could hear the doorbell ringing as we speak.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't answer the door.
Yeah.
Now they'll be able to break it down. If they think you got a stolen phone in your house, they'll be able to break down your door without a warrant.
Yeah.
That's the next thing.
Well, it is.
And then Starmer gets up, he sits there and lies his hind teeth off to Trump and says, there's nothing wrong with our freedom of speech. We're one of the most free countries in the world for free speech. He lied.
Well, we got Hyde Park Corner.
It's not even if it's not even
being arrested there, aren't they?
It's not even a stolen phone either. It's just if they think you've got a phone in the house.
They think you got a phone. Yeah, they think you've got a stolen phone
or a laptop.
Yeah, laptops. Yeah.
Said nasty messages.
Don't have laptops.
Oh.
Or iPads, for that matter.
What's that?
Or iPads.
Or an iPad, no.
There are other devices.
What's Terry saying? What language should the
English learn? The one that benefits him, her, probably a choice between Russian or Chinese.
Chinese,
Chinese,
yes, yeah. I must say, though, that's the only good thing that I think that Trump has got rid of in America, that you are all hims and hers now. You're not ifs and buts and coulds and maybes,
Oh,
I just don't know. They did arrest somebody at Speaker's Corner recently. It was a Christian preacher.
Yeah, that's right. Because, what was it about?
I don't know. I just got the images.
Did you say a Christian streaker?
Preacher.
No, I said preacher. I said preacher. Stop being provocative, Mr. Barry.
Well, I couldn't be provocative if I tried.
Well, like a 12-year-old boy.
No, we can do that without trying, can't you?
Why have the Tories given Kemi until next spring to see off the Farage threat or face a leadership challenge? Why have they done that?
Because she's not very good at what she does.
No, I think she's doomed, actually.
She's not a convincing leader.
No, she talked the talk, didn't she, in the election campaign, but then she doesn't walk the walk, does she?
Well, I watched her at Prime Minister's Question Times, and I thought, really? Is that the best you've got to put up as an opposition?
Lame duck, wasn't she?
Yeah. So, we should put somebody like Daisy Cooper in there instead.
Somebody like Farage, you'll give him hell.
Well, yeah, Farage ought to be the leader of the opposition because he effectively is at the moment.
Yes.
Certainly from a media perspective, it's Labour or Farage. It's not Labour or, sadly, the Liberal Democrats or the Conservatives that are both, pale into insignificance into the amount of influence that Farage has.
Yeah. But they've got to come up with policies in these parties, haven't they? What their policies are, and lay them out. But then that's what the Labour did, and then did the opposite, didn't they? On every count, virtually. And I think their manifesto was called Truth, actually, Labour.
But why is it though that the Tories have given Kemi until next spring? I presume they're talking about this.
It's a trial offer, isn't it? 6 months trial, I suppose.
Anyway, can I just nip back to Speaker's Corner for a moment?
Mm.
We said that Christian preacher was arrested. Mm. She also won £10,000 compensation from the Met Police for wrongful arrest.
And the police have got no money. I mean, how much in compensation are they paying out all the time?
And the Metropolitan Police apologised and admitted that they fell below the standards. 2 wrongful arrests of a female Christian evangelist speaker.
Well, it's like the one near the abortion clinic, isn't it, for silent praying?
Well, I think he should have been arrested because he was pushing his luck.
Oh, don't be silly, Alan.
Yeah, he was pushing his luck. He's been told not to.
Told not to what? Silently pray?
He can silently pray, but he can't do it within 50 yards of the entrance of an abortion clinic.
Why?
Because it's regarded as intimidating. And you can intimidate somebody by being silent. You've only got to walk down Newport Pagnell High Street and see.
Yeah, so Palestinian supporters can march and burn the Union Jack.
They should be arrested if they're burning the Union Jack.
Can't they? And nothing happens.
They should be done under the blasphemy laws.
Mm. We haven't got blasphemy laws.
Well, we need them.
No, we don't need them.
Treason laws.
Treason laws. If you burn a Union Jack in public as a mark of demonstration, you should be arrested on treason and locked up in the Tower of London for at least.
Yeah, but you see, a Muslim guy or a renounced Muslim burnt the Quran in Manchester and got arrested, didn't he?
I think he should be arrested for that as well, because it's
he has been
provocative act. And
the
Quran is a holy book to a lot of people. And it'd be the same with burning the Bible or any of the other major.
But there you go. You see, if he'd have done it to the Bible, nothing would have happened.
Yeah, but the only reason he was arrested was because he stole it out of W.H. Smith's before he burnt it.
No, he didn't. You're being provocative again, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Is that a fact?
I think we ought to rename him Michael Trump.
Is that a fact? What's happened with these strokes in Manchester who broke the WPC's nose at Manchester Airport?
I don't know.
That trial's been adjourned again, hasn't it?
If anybody should be locked up, it's them.
But the case was adjourned. Why? Nobody says why.
Well, you're allowed a couple of adjournments under English law to prepare your case. All the solicitors have got to do is turn up in court and say, "Can we have an adjournment, please? Because we haven't finished preparing our case."
Yeah.
So if you automatically get it.
If you didn't provide your evidence on time, you're done for contempt of court.
Yeah.
Because I've been through that.
Yeah,
I know given a suspended sentence for contempt of court for so-called not providing a discovery when I had. So I've got first-hand experience of the bentness of the judiciary system when they favour particular local solicitors.
Yeah, but I mean, let's face it. You've got criminal tendencies. I
knew that was coming.
Yeah,
I knew. Yeah. I had to expect that, didn't I? I left myself rather open to that remark, didn't I?
Les has come up with the right answer as well.
He's still there, is he?
Yeah, hang them by the crown jewels.
Yeah. Well, they should do that with paedophiles, shouldn't they?
Well, I don't know really, but there we go. Moving on. This is I'm going to ask you this question. 007 just won't be British anymore, will he? Because they've sold the rights out to Amazon, haven't they?
So what?
But let me start really by asking. We'll discuss that in a moment, because I want to ask you individually, who was your best favourite James Bond?
I think it's Sean Connery.
Me too.
Sean Connery.
I'm actually going to say I think the best one is Daniel Craig, because they actually reinvented Bond with him.
Yeah, I've only seen
because it was becoming very, very staid.
Yeah,
and boring. And then the Bourne trilogy came out and reinvented this action thriller spy thing, and suddenly Bond had to rethink it, and Daniel Craig was the rethink, and I think he's absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to say Daniel Craig.
Yeah, you're probably. I only saw in Skyfall, which I think he was more believable than the previous ones. I mean, you look at the Goldfinger and Dr. No and. What was the other one from Russia with Love? They're very dated, of course, now, aren't they?
I mean, I liked Sean Connery, and at the time, I thought he was absolutely great. I've seen every single Bond film.
I haven't. There's a lot. How many are there, Chris?
It's about 20 odd.
Probably
somehow I think it's 26 for some reason.
I don't know exactly. I know I've got them all on DVD, so I can watch them whenever I want.
Have you seen them, Mike?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them, but they've gone from the far-fetched to the ridiculous to the interesting, really.
Well, I'm going to be very intrigued at the next one, how they're going to do it, because he was killed in the final scene of the last film. So.
Oh, was he?
Yes. So I. Develop this.
Wasn't Felix Leiter killed when he came back? Didn't he?
It would be washed up on the riverbank and then resuscitated. Don't worry.
Probably
like Dirty Den in he got killed twice.
The fact that he was blown up by a nuclear missile or something, but there you go.
Well, he's probably an ant. He became an ant, and ants are immune to it, aren't they?
Yeah, and then somebody trod on him, and he was reincarnated as James Bond again. Yeah, it'd be another Bobby Ewing. He'd come out of the shower.
Or come out of a shower. He's had a dream for an entire series or whatever.
Did he come back as well, like Dirty Den did? Of course, Dirty Den was a real murderer, wasn't he? He murdered a taxi driver in Germany, didn't he? Well, he's done for murder.
Did he?
Hmm.
Well,
yeah, look it up. He killed it. I think he was. I don't know if he was drunk, but I think he hit him and killed him, and he was on a murder charge. I think he served time for it too.
Yeah, my favourite James Bond though was Sean Connery.
Well, that's three of us.
Yeah. I think it's only because we grew up with him, didn't we? Because of course Bondi's quite.
I just think
Bondi's quite old now, though, isn't he? He doesn't age, does he?
I just think he was so cool. I wanted to be him. I never wanted to be Daniel Craig. I wanted to be Sean Connery.
Yeah, George Lazenby, he was a waste of time. He was the big Fry man. He used to carry. Do you remember the ad with Fry's chocolate? He used to carry the big box on his shoulder. That was George Lazenby.
Who do you think was the worst one?
George Lazenby.
All right.
Who's a guy there on that picture next to Roger Moore? Who's the two between him and Daniel Craig?
I don't know. But I thought Roger Moore was probably the worst James Bond of all time. I just think he took the mickey out of that role so badly.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
But he just made it so superficial. It was, my name is Bond, James Bond. And
shaken, not stirred.
Yeah. I just think he was the worst. It spoiled the film.
Yeah, but I've seen you in The Nag's Head, My name's Alan Mallion. Give me a double Jack Daniels, Yeah. Listen, don't try offering a wonky piece of fruit to an attractive person, because you'll get an ugly response. A study shows that men and women who think they're good looking, like Alan Mallion, are more likely to find misshapen fruit and vegetables disgusting. The reason is that self-identifying beautiful people feel more entitled and believe that they deserve more perfect-looking food. And that's, say, researchers at the York University in Toronto in Canada. They tested the reactions of 1,200 people to wonky-looking cucumbers, strawberries and aubergines. Those rating themselves as attractive were 50% more likely to shun the ugly fruit and veg compared to average-looking people.
How do they get funding for this crap? I mean,
there you go. How about that? He said.
No, hold it up a bit more. Oh, it looks like a pig. No, hedgehog.
That is a wonky lemon off my lemon tree.
It's a hedgehog.
Oh, that is lovely.
How cool is that? You've got your own lemon tree. That is seriously cool. That's almost.
I've got my own lemon tree, orange tree, grapefruit tree, olive tree. I have a lemon tree.
Sorry, everybody was cutting in on top of
it. How do they finance this rubbish? I mean, who in their right mind says, "Okay, we'll give you a grant of 20 million quid to do that nonsense"?
The Ministry of Equality and Diversity.
Yes, that's right. Yes. That's the one. That's the one.
That's the one. Yeah, definitely right there. Yeah.
I got really peed off by this diversity thing. I just think it's the biggest time-wasting load of old rubbish, and I can understand why Donald Trump has just killed it off.
We should. We should.
I've got very clear views on it. When it comes to a vacancy for any position of any type, it's the best and most suitable person for the job, regardless of colour, race, religion, anything else.
What about the advert that's appeared this week for one of the NHS trusts? Is it looking for a doctor for corridor, a doctor to work in a corridor with sick people? I mean, do they really think they're going to get any applicants for that?
Well,
they're queuing up. They're queuing up already.
I imagine that they would, because
the trolleys are, but I don't know about the doctors.
The trauma doctors are, it's almost a specialist skill in the doctoring world.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me to get an ex-army doctor doing something like that.
That's a point.
Oh, but it's all going to change now, though, because the government's given the doctors the surgeries, millions and millions of pounds now, so that the doctors can do more phone interviews and home visits and all that.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
They're going to do it.
I think that the idea of using GPs to do video calls is absolutely fantastic. I cannot understand why every GP doesn't have that as part of his daily routine, to do 2 or 3 video calls a day to people that don't need to come into the surgery, that the doctor does need to see face to face, which you can do on video, doesn't need to, actually touch and feel them. And in fact, most consultations I've ever had with a doctor, the doctor's just sat me down on the table, talked to me, and then sent me home.
On the table?
On a chair, sorry. He hasn't.
Alan goes in with short trousers on, you see. The doctor puts him on the table.
Only when I can get away with it. But I've sat down on a chair, I've discussed something with the doctor, he's pressed a few buttons and written out a prescription. So he doesn't need to actually physically have me in that presence. But I think also a doctor likes to see you, because you can look at somebody and tell an awful lot about them just by looking at them.
From their tongue, from their tongue.
Yeah, poke out your tongue. And with modern technology, to actually get your blood pressure checked and
we get the message, Alan. We get the message. We get the point.
Yeah. Les quite rightly says, that not everybody has the technology to do that.
Exactly right.
If you've got a mobile phone, you've got the technology.
Oh, not everybody has, Alan.
But they have the knowledge or the capacity to use it,
my wife would do that.
There are a minority of people.
One at a time.
There are a minority of people that don't have a mobile phone, but the vast majority do. And I've been through all this. Older people do not have a problem with technology.
Some do. Quite a lot do,
when
Alan.
It's useful.
If people have got dementia and they're on their own, or people...
and in that case, they're not suitable for telemedicine. I'm talking about the majority.
Yeah, but they're talking about now, and there are some surgeries already that will only do online bookings, etc. They won't deal with people in person.
I think that's totally wrong. You've got
You've got to focus, Alan.
Yeah, well, if I am, I am. What you've got to do is accommodate for people. And if somebody is completely, technophobic, then it's not suitable for them. But it is suitable for the vast majority of people who are not technophobic, particularly since lockdown, because a lot of older people got into technology over lockdown to be able to have Zoom.
We had this mantra every week, Alan.
Oh. Well, because Alan's a technophobic person, you see.
Is he? Is he? I didn't know that.
He thinks everybody is as clever as he is,
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
And
don't argue with me.
Well, he did succeed in taking Norton off your machine. Was that your laptop?
Anyway, moving on swiftly before we end up in a technical argument with Mike Barry, which is like arguing rocket science with a 4-year-old.
I'll treat that with contempt.
Well, I would as well.
And I might even turn you off.
Look, I turned it into my Donald Trump movement.
Yeah, you sound like Trump.
The trouble is that it's not
bullying tactics. Mike Barry was best known for bullying, but
it's not. I'm not.
Seems to have gone the other way around.
Yeah, well, I
learned from the master.
I get off on bullying him.
In future, I want you wearing a collar and tie when you come on the show, not a flipping...
All right, I will. I won't wear my combats anymore.
Well, not combats. That's your swimming gear, isn't it, underneath there, So...
Listen, mate, what I've got underneath here is a revelation.
I know it is. I could see it coming. Put it away. Thank you. Listen, now they're most likely... Oh, Coca-Cola.
No, Cancun.
Oh, Cancun.
I bought it when I was in Mexico.
Mexico?
You can't say coon on here.
No, you can't. You're not allowed to. It's Anyway, listen.
He has problems with spell check. Yeah, don't we all?
Will you listen to me, please? Because we haven't got a lot of time.
Go on, Mr. Barry, be quick.
They're more likely to be found on our dinner plate than earning a place in the realm of scientific endeavour.
What?
Well, but it's the farmyard chicken has emerged as an unlikely linchpin in the research to protect its endangered wild cousins and even bring extinct species like the dodo back to life. I did say dodo, not dildo.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Well, scientists at New York University have devised a technique that involves creating genetically modified birds They do this by taking cells from the domestic chicken, specifically the ones that will eventually develop into sperm or eggshells, and growing them in a dish. Then, large sections of DNA from another species, the wild red jungle fowl, were inserted to replace the existing.
Oh, come on! It's not April the 1st; it's March the 1st.
Chickens. Now, listen, this is fascinating stuff, and people might be having their breakfast at the moment with boiled eggs and things like that, But it would be interesting, wouldn't it, if we brought back the dildo, the doodo. That was what you could call a.
That was a slip of the tongue, wasn't it?
A Freudian slip, but never mind. Shall we move on? Right, very swiftly. Because the negative consequences of an iPhone weigh on Johnny. Now, Johnny was the bloke who designed the iPhone.
Johnny?
He was the chief.
Rubber Johnny?
He was the chief design officer, Sir Johnny.
Yeah.
And he's worked at the US tech company from 1992 to 2019. And the 57-year-old developer tells Desert Island Discs that it's the nature of innovation that there will be unprecedented consequences. But just because the not so positive consequences weren't intended, that doesn't matter relative to how I feel responsible. And that weighs and is a contributor to decisions I've made ever since. So the guy that invented the iPhone is not really very happy with it, is he?
I don't believe that to be the case. I listened to him on Desert Island Discs. I listened to that program quite intently. He was a really nice bloke. He was really level-headed, and he said there are unintended consequences of developments that happen, but all in all, the iPhone's been a great asset to the population of the planet.
Yeah, all right, here we go. Another advert for iPhones, yeah. Leslie Garman is saying, got to go, he's got to take his dildo for a walk.
Yeah, he does say that spelling is an issue.
Thanks, Les. Yeah, it's nice to have your company this morning. And that.
So it was Johnny Ive, and I actually believe he was British.
Johnny Ive, not Rubber Johnny.
He's the guy who designed the iPhone. Yeah, he was born in Chingford.
Yeah,
Chingford.
He went to a design college, and I heard his whole story. An amazing guy. He should be knighted. Should be a sir because of the.
I think he should as well because
he is a sir.
I've had so many iPhones. I've contributed to Apple being the wealthiest company in the world at the moment.
Yes.
He also designed the Apple Mac, which he did before the iPhone. The iPhone.
Yeah, I've always avoided the Apple Mac because I prefer PCs because I
me too.
PCs.
But they're a lot cheaper.
It explains a little bit why the Apple Mac is so popular with designers, because the guy that designed it was actually had a very strong reputation as a product designer. Yeah. He was all round good guy, really. He's got his own company now, which is designing new things, but he's keeping that under hat. He won't tell us what it is.
Don't you design these things? You don't de-design them, do you?
Well, when you're designing new things, Alan, you don't tell people what you're designing in case somebody thinks, "Oh, that's a good idea."
Like the Chinese.
I'll have a go and do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, the Chinese steal the designs anyway, which they do.
It's like the breakfast show on Spectrum and Air, the colourful voice of radio. Runs weekdays 8 until 9. It's so good, and we've got so many good ideas on it, but we're not telling people what those ideas are in case they pitch them. So there we go. Listen, I'm gonna wish you all a happy weekend or something like that.
It's supposed to be nice weather for the next week, by the way. It's supposed to be sunny and warm.
I'd like to say that I enjoyed the show this morning, but I couldn't tell lies, So let's have a good day, sis. And
thank you all.
We'll have a good day as well.
Loyal listeners.
Thanks to Terry as well.
Quite many.
Yeah, thanks to Chris in Portugal for coming on. It's great to see you, and it's
got a long break this time, Chris. You got another 31 days before we see you.
Yeah, not really, because he's coming back to the UK, aren't you, Chris?
But he's not on the show, though, is he?
No, but we'll meet up for lunch, hopefully.
We will meet up for lunch. I look forward to that. I really will. Anyway,
I have access to a car, so I can travel.
Right, okay. Listen, we've got to say goodbye. Have yourself a lovely weekend. And from me and from Chris and from Alan and from Bob, take care. Have yourself a nice day. And
bye, folks.
See you next week.
Very Merry Christmas.
Bye.
You are listening to Spectrum on Air. Want to know more ways you can find your favourite internet radio station? Then you've come to the right place. You can hear us on Get Me Radio on any device and using the Get Me Radio app for smartphones and speakers. You can also hear us on Radio UK, MyTuner Radio, and on Radio Box there is a playlist of everything we have broadcast over the past 7 days. With certain shows, you can hear and actually see us on Mixcloud Live. Just look out for the show picture with Mixcloud Live logo on it. Want to download our free specialist Alexa smart speaker app? Just search the Alexa skills for Spectrum on Air. Missed your favourite show? Don't panic. We have a comprehensive listen again service on mixcloud.com. Just search for Spectrum on Air. We also have our own YouTube channel where we keep our outside broadcast videos and specialist shows. Just go to YouTube and search for, well, you know by now. So that's it, a comprehensive rundown of the many ways to listen and watch your favourite. You are listening